I feel that theater has been a very insular community as far as designers go and as far as crew goes. And I think that people had a hard time breaking into it, have a hard time breaking into it. They don't know how. And I feel like this is really important because we want new voices to be heard. We want new people to be able to come in. We want different voices. So many people out there who could be the next storytellers, be the next makeup designers, be the next directors, but sadly they don't have access or they don't know how, or they don't even know that it exists as a profession.
Let's welcome Joe Dulude the second. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. To our Before the Curtain Rises, the Designer Series. And Joe, thank you for joining us. This is going to be like a conversation. Hopefully, I have a lot of questions, but I'm sure the questions are going to blend into our conversation where I probably won't have to actually ask a question. But I'm going to say we are welcoming to our platform Joe Dulude II, makeup designer for both film and theater, and I believe television too. Is that correct?
For television and theater, yes. I work in film, but not as a designer. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that. And we will go from there. So I'm going to first start by asking Joe, like, where are you from?
I am originally from Rhode Island, which is actually where I live again. I never thought I would move back. I've lived in many, many places, but it was time for me to move back to be closer to family. So I decided to do that.
Fantastic. Okay. Do you have like lucrative work there, or do you travel to different areas for your work?
No, I travel to different areas. So about almost 11 years ago now, I left New York. I just couldn't be there anymore. I moved to Western Massachusetts, where one of my best friends lived, and lived there for 8.5 years, and then realized I needed to be closer to my family. So most of my work is not here. I teach as well, and unfortunately don't teach anywhere around here. I always have to travel to teach, but it's okay with me because I have a wonderful home life, and that's what I really wanted.
Fantastic, fantastic. So this question I'm going to ask you because I say makeup design, but some people might not really know what makeup design actually is. So can you explain for us what makeup design and what being a makeup designer is?
Yeah, of course. So makeup design is basically you create all of the looks on everyone that is going to be in the show or in the program. So, all of the makeup looks, any kind of changes that need to happen, quick changes, character changes, if it's sometimes the ensemble are playing multiple characters. And so you're also trying to figure out, do they have enough time to change into this? So all of that kind of encompasses makeup design. So it's not just like, oh, here's a pretty look for someone. It's also thinking about, you have to think about skin tone. You have to think about age. You have to think about how different makeup is going to read under lighting. So it's not just about doing a face chart and being like, here you go. You also have to teach all of the actors as well. So you have to be a good communicator, a good listener, because the way that I design too, I want the input of the actor. I'm not wearing that makeup, they are. And I want them to feel good about it. Even if it's something crazy and over the top, I still want their input.
Right. Oh, great. And I have to say, I know a little bit what that feels like because my beginning career was as a performer. So to be able to sit, and I didn't know how to do makeup. I'm not a person that wears makeup every day either. I wore more, of course, when I was a performer because that was the thing to do. Always be ready, always be on. But it was still, somebody had to teach me, right? And depending on what the show is, it's different. Is there a lot of research that needs to go sometimes into what the design should be, like for period pieces, what kind of piece it is?
Oh, for sure. Research is one of my favorite things. I love like scouring what used to be books, now scouring the internet to find, references. I mean, so much is in my head now because I've been designing for 21 years now. So like period pieces, I really don't have to research that anymore, unless we're looking for something very specific. But like, when we were doing Beetlejuice, Alex Timbers, the director, said, yes, you can be inspired from the film, but we want you to be more inspired from Tim Burton's sketches. And so it was a matter of going through all the sketches, looking at the colors, looking at the line work, at the characters that he was creating and coming from there. So, I love doing that research. The one thing I do, though, for period pieces is I research what the products were at the time and what was available so that you not only have a period piece, but you understand how it wore or why it was the way that it was. And it helps when you can explain that to an actor as well and say, I know 1920s makeup looks crazy a lot of times, but this is the reason why it was the way it is. And so then they feel more comfortable and they're like, oh, okay, now I get it.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Really. Was makeup design something you always wanted to do and pursue as a career? Did you even know it was a career to have?
No, I didn't even know, I didn't even know being a makeup artist was a career. I loved old monster films, and I knew that that kind of makeup was a career, like special effects makeup. But I never thought there was a career in just doing makeup, regular makeup. And it wasn't until I moved to New York and I was working on St. Mark's Place at a punk rock and roll clothing store. And one of my friends had started working for Mac down in Atlanta. And he was like, you need to do this. Like, this is what you should do. And my background was graphic design. So it was art. I understood color. I understood light and dark, contour, highlight. And so then I just started wearing makeup to work. And then photographers and stylists would come in and say, oh, are you a makeup artist? And I'd be like, yes, I am. And they'd be like, great. Do you want to do a photo shoot and in exchange for photos? Because at that time it was, you got your actual photo that you put in an actual book. It was not digital. And so that's how I started doing it. But also I had a theater background. I performed. So I understood lighting as well. So I could go into these situations, not really knowing a whole lot, but knowing how to draw, knowing how to paint, and knowing how things change under the lights. And that really helped me. And makeup design, I still didn't even know that was even when I was a makeup artist, I didn't know that was a profession that I could do. And I kind of fell into it. I filled in for a friend of mine, who's Vanessa Williams makeup artist, and she had designed, her name's Kate Best, and she designed Into the Woods that Vanessa was in, and she was working on it. And she asked me to cover for her, and then I kept covering and covering and covering, and finally I took over for her, found out that Susan Hilferty, the costume designer, was designing Wicked, and I had read the book and I loved it. So, and I just said, I want to do the makeup on it. And then she called me in to design it because they wanted someone who had an editorial background. And at that point, I had been a makeup artist for years doing editorial and fashion and body painting and all of that. So, and that's how I got it. And that's how I found out that makeup design was even a career.
So, Joe, that takes me to find out some more information. Is there a difference between theatrical makeup and film makeup?
There is a difference between theatrical and film makeup. When you're doing TV or film, you are doing makeup up close. The camera's going to be right in their faces most of the time. So everything has to be perfect. Everything has to be well blended. Everything has to read well. And when you're doing it for theater, you have a little bit of leniency because people are seeing it from so far away. So if an eyeliner isn't perfect, no one's going to see that from the house. if something is slightly off, or, if the skin, like if the foundation they're using, like say they got a tan or something and the foundation they're using is slightly light or something, no one notices that from the house. Whereas if you're doing TV or film, they're going to. People think that there's a big difference as far as like the amount of makeup that goes on, but there isn't. I mean, I use makeup that you can get at any store. I use makeup that people use every day, that you would use in film and TV. Like with Death Becomes Her right now, I just was able to use all of these amazing products. Max sponsored us, but then I was like, to get different effects and things like that I needed. We were shopping all over the place and getting like, Charlotte Tilbury or Danessa Myricks or, House Labs, which is Lady Gaga's line. Like we were pulling from all these things. And normally in the past, you wouldn't be able to use a lot of, especially foundations that had any kind of reflection on them, because the lights, it would just make everybody look sweaty. But now, because the lights have advanced and they're LEDs now, you don't get that same effect. So like, Death Becomes Her, everybody could be super glowy and beautiful and natural, and have this great look to them, that in the past we wouldn't have been able to get.
Gotcha. And another thing is makeup design also expands not just with the face, but like if you needed to do tattoos of any kind for something, is that also in your realm of work for a show?
Yeah. Yes, it is. If we have to cover tattoos, that's part of our job. A lot of times, because now a lot of actors have multiple tattoos, and if you're doing a period piece, doesn't quite work. Usually, we get help from the costume designers by trying to cover up most of what needs to be covered up, but sometimes you can't, and we have to cover. And if there's no makeup artist on the show, then we have to teach the actor how to do it on themselves. Creating tattoos is the same thing. So I designed Jesus Christ Superstar live on NBC. And that was part of my job, was designing all of these tattoos. And Paul Taswell didn't give me a direction. He just said, go for it. I was like, okay, but I need something. Like, what do I go for? And I was like, okay, this is the story of Jesus. And so let me pull from like sacred geometry. And then, so everything was these shapes. And then I was like, okay. And then there was the Trinity, the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. So everything was sort of in threes. And so I just kept building on it that way. And I just created, I just had circles and lines and squares and things like that I would put together and make into these tattoos that we would then apply on people. And we also do FX. So FX is part of it now as well. Because with Death Becomes Her, we have a twisted neck. We have an untwisted neck with a big bone sticking out of it. There's a body double that's played by a man, but is playing a woman. So there's a breastplate. So we're not making the pieces. We're having them made, but we are in charge of, making sure that they work on stage, repainting if they need to be repainted, putting in closures, anything like that. So a lot of times, the makeup design has really expanded in the 21 years I've been doing it, for sure.
Yeah, it sounds exciting though. I mean, it doesn't sound like a dull moment there. Exactly.
No.
Which is great.
No.
Which is great. Wow. Did you have a mentor along the way, or mentors? Like who, I guess, guided you? Did you have somebody that did that? Or did you have people that you looked like for to find your path?
I didn't really have a mentor per se. At that time, too, I had reached out to a person that I had known who was a makeup designer when I was working on my contract, just to figure out what I should ask for, because I hadn't known that. And she was very gracious and she gave me a lot of information, but I didn't have anybody that kind of guided me along. At that time, people didn't really do that. And it is, sad that a lot of, like in theater, if you did editorial, you did have those mentors because you were working under them and they guided you through and they taught you. But in theater design, there were so few of us at that time, and there weren't a lot of shows going around. So no one was kind of open to that. Right now, like I'm a mentor for many people, and I'm also the chair of the mentorship committee for Local 798, which is the Makeup and Hairstylist Union. And that's something that we're working to rectify. We have a program right now that's an outreach program that for especially POC, LGBTQ plus, other historically that either haven't had a space or haven't been able to have access to the theater space or the TV film space. And so we do a 12-week program. None of them are in the union. And then it's taught by 798 members. And then after the 12 weeks are up, we match them with a 798 mentor to kind of take them the next steps. And right now we're working within 798 to create an internal mentorship program so that newer members can be teamed up with seasoned members and they can then be mentored, because especially when I first went into TV and film, no one told me anything. I didn't know where I was supposed to go. I didn't know how I was supposed to set up. I didn't know what I was supposed to do when I got there. I didn't know what I was supposed to do during the day. I didn't know how to fill out a time card. I didn't know like when I was supposed to take breaks, none of that. And no one was very helpful at that time. So we're trying to change that.
Great. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was going to say, I think there's a program that I heard about, because I believe we have it on our design hub right now. So people can go there and find it and look it up and see what it's about. But that's a great program that I hear about, and it is doing work in the areas of the
and we do
underrepresented.
it in conjunction with Real Works, and they do
Right,
it for all
right.
aspects of the industry. So it's not just makeup and hair.
Exactly. Wow. Fantastic. All righty. You've already named, but it would be great to, again, name some of the shows that you've worked on. And are there any recognitions that you have or awards that you have? It would be great to hear about those also.
Sure. So as far as theater goes, my first show that I designed was Wicked. That was the one 21 years ago. I've done, I should really have this list up in front of me because I always forget. The Wedding Singer, Beautiful, the Carole King Story, SpongeBob, Anastasia, however you want to say it, MJ, Beetlejuice, Death Becomes Her. Oh, I'm forgetting so many. On the Town, Sunday in the Park with George that Annalee Ashford and Jake Gyllenhaal did. Follies. I designed Donna Murphy's makeup for Into the Woods at the Park. Suffs I just did as well. There's so many. I'm going to forget
Wow.
them
Well,
all.
that's a lot.
Yeah. It averages out to like 1 point something per year that I've been designing. Because some years I didn't really design anything. There weren't any new shows or I didn't get asked. And then some years I would do like 3 shows in a year. And then also whenever there are tours and things, I go and I set them up as well. I did win a 706 award for Wicked. That was many, many years ago. That was 21 years ago. I don't actually have the award because none of us could get to the awards ceremony. And so we never got our awards, unfortunately. So I'm not sure where they are right now, but someone has them. We just don't. And unfortunately, in theater, there are no Tonys for hair and makeup. Drama Desk only has hair. They don't have makeup. So really, the only other awards that I could win is if I continued doing more work in film and TV. I did receive an Emmy nomination for the makeup design for Jesus Christ Superstar live on NBC. Unfortunately, I didn't get one. I also did Annie Live as well, but didn't get a nomination for that. I lost the year for Jesus Christ Superstar. I lost to Saturday Night Live, so not a bad group of people to lose to. But yeah, unfortunately, there isn't, and it's been one of the things we've been trying to change, because I always say, like, makeup is the lowest rung of the ladder in theater, and one of the issues I feel is that we are not a commodity, so we cannot win an award in hair and makeup, so they cannot use us as publicity or as press or to say like, won the Tony for best, outstanding hair and makeup. And I think that changes, I think it changes how people view your job. And if you're good at your job and people come out and they look great, they don't think, oh, there's work to do that. It takes a lot of work and a lot of experience to be able to do that. And so sometimes they don't see that. So I wish that there was, I don't know if I'll ever see it in my lifetime while I'm still designing, but I hope that in the future there is a Tony for hair and makeup.
No, I agree, especially just by talking to you. It has expanded so much that why isn't there, right? You just said it expands to even body what you have to do sometimes with not covering up, but adding to
Hmm.
represent the character. Also, the special effects part you just spoke about,
Yeah.
So, I think it's time, for it to have its own category. And hopefully, if we keep saying it over and over and we have things like this where we're talking right out about what you actually do and people
Right.
hear, oh, wait a minute, that's a skill. That is something that is its own thing. Then hopefully, it will come to fruition,
Yeah.
you
I always
know.
say I'm going to get my Tony posthumously. Because it's going to take
Mm,
them that long.
I know, I know. I hear you. I hear you. The reason why we're doing this, Black Theater United is creating this designers initiative. We are so happy that you have been a part of this from the inception and the conversation that
Mhm.
happened months and months and months and months ago, where you're part of our think tank. And why do you feel that it is necessary to be a part of this design initiative?
Ooh, that's a big question. There's a lot to answer in that one. One, I feel that theater has been a very insular community as far as designers go and as far as crew goes. Um, and I think that people had a hard time breaking into it and have a hard time breaking into it. They don't know how. Um, and I feel like this is really important because we want new voices to be heard. We want new people to be able to come in. We want different voices. I say all the time, like I have been working to mentor people that historically have not had access to the space of theater. And I have two people that I've used as associates that I've had as makeup artists on shows. And they have now gone on to design shows themselves. And one is a Black woman, one is an Asian woman, and a Japanese American. So, she's gone on to design three shows. Tish, who was my makeup person on Beetlejuice, who is my current makeup supervisor on the Wicked tour, just designed The Outsiders. And so I was like, good, my plan is working. Because as I'm phasing out, like I want to be able to open up the door for other people. And, I'll just say theater is very white. It's very white. And I think also a lot of theater is geared towards white people. And, I think it's time to open it up to other people, to open it up to other communities, because it's amazing what the arts can do, especially for kids and for kids that are weirdos like I was, that don't feel like they fit in for whatever reason. Theater and art creates a space for them to express themselves and to find themselves. And I think that's really important. And if we don't start doing that, we're just going to be telling the same stories over and over and over again. And and there's so much potential and there's so many people out there who could be the next storytellers, be the next makeup designers, be the next directors, but sadly they don't have access, or they don't know how, or they don't even know that it exists as a profession. you know Especially when I do the work with the Real Works program with the mentorship, like some of these people never even thought that, that didn't know even theater was you could do makeup or hair for theater. Like they didn't even know that was a possibility, or job. And so it's really, I think it's important just to educate so that we can have a new generation of people that come in and the new stories being told.
Yeah, and that's so on point, is that people don't know that you can actually have a career in this,
Hmm.
right?
It's a tough
Even
career.
it's
Tough.
it's a tough,
Yeah.
and it's work.
Yeah.
You got to put in the
Yeah.
work. You got to put in the
Yep.
research when you have to do the research, right?
Yep.
So it's not like, oh, I just know how to put on this and I can just do that. No, it is a job. It is a
Yeah.
career. So it takes hard work and it takes focus, right? It takes your energy to make it what it is.
Hmm.
But to know that someone out there that might just have this desire, right? Or something within them that says, that's something I want to do, but it's just a hobby. Even though I have a passion for it, it's just a hobby. But now one of the purposes of Black Theater United's design initiative is to actually let people know that these things are possible and that there is a career, right?
Hmm.
We're showing the different careers that are behind the scenes. Like before that curtain rises, all of this happens behind the scenes
Right.
to present what you actually see on the stage, right?
Yeah.
So to have the initiative that you just mentioned that you are mentoring a part of, to have this initiative to bring it to light, to show, is our goal. And hopefully we will have somebody out there that looks at this on YouTube and goes, oh, wait a minute, I didn't know about that. Okay, where can
Hmm.
I go? How do I
Yeah.
find out more? And that's the purpose of this. So
Yeah.
thank you.
And I'm
for what you-
always willing to like, if people reach out, I have a lot of times where like students will reach out to me to ask questions. I've had people who have reached out asking how to get into the industry. I had one person that I mentored in the UK and
Oh.
brought him backstage with me when I was in tech for, I think, Beautiful and out there. And he met all the people, and then he was at university. So he started getting work experience because he had met them through me. And now he works on Doctor Who, which I'm very jealous of, but because I love that show. But so it does work. And a lot of times, my schedule is busy. I don't always have the time to be able to do that, or the means to do that. But I'm always happy to help out and to answer questions and guide people along, because I wish that I had more of it when I was starting.
Right. Well, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for being part of our initiative. We're going to keep moving forward with it. We have the hub, we have the series on YouTube that we're showing all the different fields of design, which is going to lead up to our special event in the summer of 2025, which is going to be our expo that we are still in the process of working on, that we will be pulling the thinkers back into the room to get us forward with that. So thank you, Joe. We appreciate
You're welcome.
you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for including me.
Of course. And thank you for sharing your journey.
Of course. Anytime.
All right. All right. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic rest of your day.
You too.